Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Vicki Chats. I have a very special guest in the studio with me today. She's a woman who truly needs no introduction, but we're going to give her one anyway. Thomas Gettman is a force of faith, authenticity, and purpose. From gracing our TV screens as a trusted anchor to inspiring hearts as an author and co-founder of Faith in Four-Letter Words, Tara has never been afraid to speak truth with grace and maybe a little grit. Together with her speaking partner, Amanda Goodman, Tara takes real, raw, faith-filled conversations on the road, connecting with audiences all across the Midwest. By day, she's shaping stories that matter as the communication strategist for the City of Waterloo, championing growth, community, and connection. Tara's passion for empowering women shines through everything she does. She's proof that your voice, your story, and your faith can change the world, one honest conversation at a time. So buckle up and get ready for a little laughter, a lot of heart, and some seriously good conversation, because Tara Thomas Gettman is in the house.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that intro. Very flattering.
My pleasure, sweetheart. And I so appreciate you being here with me today. It's an honor and a pleasure to share the mic with you. So, Tara, when you look back at your journey, what's one childhood memory that shaped the woman you are today?
So all my Gen Xers will remember 17 magazine. It was our monthly fashion Bible. So one 7th grade summer, I saw an article that changed my career trajectory because a woman had just started in Atlanta at a new startup, 24/7 news, what a concept, called Cable News Network. And her title was broadcast journalist. And I saw that, and that really stuck because I loved writing. I loved talking too much. So it was a perfect marriage for my skill set. So from that point forward, I was committed to being a broadcast journalist, and it worked out at least for 20 years of my life.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So you've worn so many hats: anchor, author, strategist, speaker. Which role feels most right with you now?
Crazy to say, Christian speaker. A few years back, someone asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I thought to myself, I knew that God had put that calling on my heart to share my faith. How am I going to do that when I was at the time a communication person in a small Iowa school district? And God can dream a bigger dream for us than we dream for ourselves. So grateful that now, over 100 shows later, Amanda and I are touring the Midwest and hope to expand the tour. And we're just thrilled that people have been showing up to laugh and cry sometimes, like you. I appreciate you showing up.
Thank you.
And just giving,
pleasure.
Giving that sort of truth to power, as cliche as that sounds. But when we share our faith, it's amazing how God works.
Yes, it is amazing. So you're known for keeping it real, Tara. So how do you balance vulnerability and strength in your storytelling?
Well, during the time on the news, we always had to be more buttoned up and professional. So it's been great post-television for Amanda and me to just literally let our hair down, not have our hairstyles and our outfits controlled as much, and to just be real. And so for us, that's been just having that more relatable, honest conversation that prior to that period in our lives, we only could do somewhat really through blogging. That's how we first started in social media. So it just really grew from there.
That's beautiful. I love it so much. So what's one lesson faith has taught you in the moments when life didn't go as planned?
The Bible tells us that God can give you a peace that passes understanding. And I have embraced that, lived that in the midst of very troubling circumstances. When I have leaned into my faith, it's amazing how God really covered me with that peace. And I couldn't understand it. And so it was a biblical peacefulness that went beyond human understanding. So don't be afraid to lean in when the bottom drops out.
Right. And we're both going through a lot right now with loss personally. So we're depending on Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So how do you define success at this stage in your life and career?
It's easy. It's walking in your purpose. And that's a process for us. For me, it took decades to be fully, I guess, immersed in what I feel is purposeful work. And so don't ever give up on making that, leap of faith, that next right move, because God is slowly nudging, sometimes pushing you into that place and space that you might be reluctant to go to, but that's right where he wants you to be. So it's such a good feeling when you have that alignment.
Right. So tell us about Faith in Four-Letter Words. How did it start, and what makes your partnership with Amanda so powerful?
In 2019, Amanda said we should do a podcast and we should call it Faith in Four-Letter Words. Credit to her for coming up with that. She left television out of frustration and some four-letter words. I left by God leading me out, my faith.
Yes.
So it's the perfect title for our journeys. So collectively, we just decided to share on the mic what we felt was really just a personal conversation, a cathartic release. People enjoyed it. We had traction, surprisingly, from it. So that turned into a speaking tour. First show, Dyersville, February 2023.
Yes.
Now shows scheduled all the way through December 2026.
Wow.
And thanks for coming to two of our shows.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yes, my pleasure. One at the Majestic Moon Party and Event Center on Locke Avenue in Waterloo. And that was so beautiful. Your mother was there. And your mother is such a force of nature.
Oh, thank you.
And she just gives me chills. I love her so much.
Thank you.
Yes. And then the other one was at the
Spark to Fire.
Yes, Spark to Fire. There you go.
Falls.
In Cedar Falls. Yes.
That was so nice to see your face. I appreciate your support.
Both times changed my life in many ways.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about that the next time.
Yeah.
So what's the most surprising or unforgettable moment you've had while touring and speaking with audiences?
Some women were just looking for permission. They felt alone and they felt conflicted and sort of stuck. To hear what we did to pivot in a TV world that was not kind to women as they aged, and how we had a second and now third act, it just gave women that nudge to say, wow, I need to make a change. So one woman was relegated to sweeping floors in a tattoo parlor. The tattoo artist never gave her a shot. She, through our connection, through the show, she decided to leave his, business, start her own. And now she's been very successful having her own shop. And so what we found is sometimes women just need to know, like, you're not alone. And it's very common that you can find yourself, especially in a situation where somebody doesn't want you to grow and sort of succeed.
Exactly.
So we wanted to remind anyone, if that's your story, walk away.
Yes, walk away. I love that so much. So as a former TV anchor, how did your time in broadcasting prepare you for the work you do now?
If you're on TV, if you're a DJ like Vicki or Bob, there's an element of ego that comes into it. And so back in my 20s on television, you like to think it's all about you. What I now know is God was preparing Amanda and myself for our second act, which was Faith in Four-Letter Words and some of her child advocacy and what I've done in my role with the City of Waterloo. And so I really believe that we were uniquely positioned to be broadcasters because it prepared us immensely for those skill sets that we would someday draw on in a completely different arena.
Right. I love that. So in your role with the City of Waterloo, how do you approach telling the story of community growth and pride?
I get the privilege of sharing all the good news. The good far outweighs the bad, especially when it comes to the people, the businesses, and all of the projects. And so when you're doing television news, it's a lot of negativity, but that's the nature of the business. No one's fault, because media is, in this case, news, what deviates from the norm. And oftentimes that's not a positive, right? So I went from being in a position where I had a lot of sad news to share to now always being in a glass half full positive light, thanks to my role with the city. So I love it. Featuring businesses and people that make up the city has been an honor, and I never run out of material.
Oh, wonderful. I love that so much. So what advice would you give women who feel called to step into leadership or public roles but doubt their voice?
Don't wait, and it's never too late. I'm actually in my 50s and I'm in my third act, and it's probably one of my best. And so me flourishing in later life means you can too, but you don't have to wait. Sometimes the lessons we learned along the way, it took us decades to really challenge the narrative. So we tell women, start now. in your 20s and your 30s, you can
Yes.
take risks and you can
Oh,
do
yes.
things that maybe traditionally we didn't,
Right.
because we're more from the generation where you would stick and stay at the same job.
Right.
And now we know that loyalty is a two-way street.
Yes.
So if you don't feel that you're valued, find someone who does value you.
Amen. So how do you stay grounded when life and work both demand so much of you?
I'm fortunate that I have a husband who I like to say is standing on the ground holding the balloon that I'm, in floating up above. So he reminds me that, you're not better than anybody else. And just because you're on television or people recognized you, that was kind of his mantra then. And now it's like, oh, you're faith in four-letter words, right? So, I mean, I'm not special. I'm just a mom and a wife. And so he definitely helps to remind me that at the end of the day, we're just women trying to make our way like anybody else.
Yes, exactly. And this wasn't on the list of questions, but you mentioned your children. You have two very amazing children. Oh my gosh.
Sweet.
Chat with us about them.
So I'm so blessed that my husband and I together, we have two kids, Charlotte and Thomas, 19 and 17. And then my husband's daughters, my stepdaughters are 39 and 37.
Oh my God.
And they live out in Washington State where he's from. And so right now our daughter Charlotte, she is a sophomore at the University of Arizona.
Yay.
And our son Thomas is a junior at West High School, where your son and some of your kids graduated from, right?
Yes.
And then my husband just retired from teaching for 20 years almost with Waterloo schools, and he taught at Waterloo West.
Wow,
so it's just a lot of connections across our children and the community. And so for me, it's the biggest honor of my life, as I know you can relate, is being a mom.
Right.
And so now that, they're getting into those later years, they don't need us as much, but you just hope that all the years that you poured into them pay off, and that they are good people.
Yes, exactly. And they are.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So tell me, what role has mentorship or sisterhood played in your journey?
Having a job as a TV news anchor, you can be on an island. It can be a lonely situation. A lot of the women in your midst have been pitted against you, or they want your job. And so you had a lot of trust issues, I think, in that role.
Yes.
So Amanda and I, we have this unicorn friendship where we bucked the trend and we decided intentionally to be allies over adversaries. And that relationship, I had no idea when we connected in 2013 how much it would come to serve me later in life in so many ways. Don't miss that opportunity to have that woman in your midst be your close friend, even if others, like men, the boys club, has pitted you against one another.
Right. So you often talk about being real and raw. What does that look like for you in your day-to-day life?
It's not easy, because when we are honest about our life or a situation, sometimes then people are upset because they want to think of you as, having it all together. Yeah. So when you kind of show them your cracks, you'll be surprised at how it can really deepen your friendships, and you'll really separate, the fake ones from the genuine ones. And so for me, Amanda and I do not know how to live other than sort of breathing that honesty, and sometimes that blatant nature, that in your face approach can be tough, but we've just lived a lot of years and been through a lot of things. And so I think you get to a place where you sort of earn your ability to be more forthright.
Yes, you earn it.
Cut through, the BS.
Right, the BS. Yes, I love it. So what's one moment when you felt God show up in a way that you didn't expect?
Oh, that is such a great question. If you've ever experienced it, it's life-changing. You'll never forget it. I was in a situation in 2013 where I was turning 40, and I knew I had to get out of television for many reasons. And I just went to a sermon in January, and the pastor said, "God, your plan's not mine." Ooh. I loved that prayer, very simplistic, but I prayed that prayer later that week. And within 48 hours, I received a call from the then Waterloo School superintendent.
Yay.
And he said, "Everyone I've asked whose opinion I value inside and outside the district wants to know who should replace the outgoing PR lady who's been there for 16 years. And your name was on everybody's list."
Yay!
And that changed my life. I walked away from the only job I'd ever known into that world initially of PR with the schools.
Beautiful.
And it was 1,000% God-led. Be careful what you pray for, because you can say and pray whatever you'd like. You don't get to dictate how it unfolds.
Yes, you don't get to.
My life flipped upside down in 48 hours.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. And tell me, what's one moment? Oh, I'm sorry. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
This is a great question, and I've many times thought about this. You need to be as strategic in your personal life as you are in your professional life. And so for me, I'm grateful that I sort of got that message and memo when I was in my 30s, but in my 20s, I was all about my work.
Yes.
And when you wake up one day as a woman and you're 35 plus, you do have a biological clock.
Yeah.
So if you want to have children, if you want to have a family, you need to be really intentional about pouring into those relationships, because in the end, your job is only that, a job, but your family and the life you build, in my case with my husband and my children, that's what drives me. That's what, for me, life is all about. Right. So you definitely need to be careful that you're just as strategic. I mean, the person that you marry, the people you choose to have children with, they will, completely and utterly change the trajectory of your life in good ways and sometimes challenging ways. Right. And so make the right choice, even when you're young, because there are decades-long consequences.
Yes, be intentional.
So I'm fortunate. I feel fortunate. I married my best friend, and he's been the love of my life. Been together 27 years, but he was a divorced father of two. So there was a risk, taking on the blended family and all those challenges. So truly God has helped get us through all the things, the bumps in the road that can come with that.
Of course. And you place a lot of focus on your relationship. I see on Facebook when you go out for a date.
Much to people's annoyance. I'm sure there's the eye rolls of another selfie. But for me, I have fun with my husband, and he's retired now. So then he's like, I need to see people, because he's pretty isolated during the week. So we tend to go out a lot.
It's beautiful. Yes. So important to invest in that relationship.
Yeah, it's been good.
Oh, I love that. So what's next for Tara Thomas Gettman? Any projects, books, or dreams on the horizon?
I appreciate that, because for us, for Amanda and me, we just are blown away that it's gone this long with Faith and 4 Letter Words. And so we did have our first book come out. You were at that launch in September. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So it was the initial kind of Faith and 4 Letter Words foray into the book world. And now the second book coming out Black Friday. It's Faith and 4 Letter Words, The Advice That Went Viral. It's a collection of all of our social media posts, essays, if you will, that gained the most traction.
Oh, I love that. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
A sequel. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, so where can listeners and viewers find you on social media and the web?
We're old, so we're all over Facebook. So our Faith and 4 Letter Words page on Facebook has a huge following. We're grateful for that. And then we have a website, faithandfourletterwords, allwrittenout.com. That's where you can get all the show information. You can check out our merch. Our husbands are like, you're not Taylor Swift with merch. And then we also have a link on there to our Amazon book, and then our subsequent issue or series, will be included in that link.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Any closing thoughts you'd like to share with our audience today, Tara?
Yes. One of my favorite verses, to whom much is given, much is expected. If you're in a position of privilege in your life where you have influence or reach, in this case, Vicki has a mic and she can use it for good. I'm able to take the stage. I'm able to use social media in a way that can be constructive. So I don't take that lightly. Be involved, do things in your community to give back, because for all of us, servant leadership really is the name of the game. If you're not serving others, then you're serving yourself. And so for me, I have to really be intentional and focus on how I can give back, because that's where, for me, the greatest blessings derive.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you. I so appreciate you for doing these sort of community conversations, and thanks for deeming me worthy to have me as a guest.
Yes, thank you for deeming me worthy to come into the studio.
Sure. My pleasure.
High five, girl.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us today. We'll see you next time.
See you soon.